Just be happy, happy. Just be happy, happy. La di da di da di da. La di da di da di di. Just be happy, happy. Just be happy, happy. La di da di da di da di da. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey, Naomi. But listen, I have a kind of issue that I want to bring up with you, and it concerns something you said to me the other day. Okay, so you went to Dracula, and I said, look, I want to go to Dracula, and I said, how was it? And you said, it was fine. And then I went to it, and what hit me was overwhelming. This is one of the most fabulous movies I can remember seeing since Frozen. I mean, I loved it from like the first frame to the last. I was delighted during every minute of it, so I'm trying to understand how it is that you downplayed the magnificence of this film.
You know what? That is actually something I do quite often. It is a habit of mine. I get tremendously excited about things. I am really, really excited by movies. Movies are my life. So when I go and see a movie, I am rarely disappointed. I will always find something beautiful in that movie. And I guess it's a good thing. It means that I'm constantly entertained. But when I'm recommending films to people, it's very difficult for me to discern whether or not it's a good film or whether I'm just overly excitable. So I always figure that it's better to give a little bit of a disclaimer and not oversell it too much, and that way you're absolutely delighted when you see it.
Well, that's essentially what happened. I mean, it began, and of course, I love this story, right? I mean, the Bram Stoker's great novel, which is by itself has an amazing story. I mean, here you had this kind of puritan Victorian who writes this novel warning all the women of England against the evils of losing their virtue, and it became the most salacious book of the first quarter of the 20th century. It's spawned an unbelievable genre. And here we are now in the 21st century, and this beautiful movie comes out, which was basically a prequel to the whole Dracula story. And it makes him a sympathetic figure, but for reasons that I find very interesting.
Yeah, no, I found this whole film, as you said, from start to end, I had a blast. I had a blast, not just from the story, but also visually. It was beautiful. The effects were beautiful. And it was, it was really engaging. Everything was lively. It was exactly what I wanted a Dracula movie to be. Oh. And the ending, I mean, let's not give anything away because we want people to go see this film. But I had a lot of fun with this.
So let me ask you this, and I really want to get into the meat of this film, but so during the, just occurred to me when you said that, during the whole movie, were you anticipating that at some point he would turn into a bat? Because he never did, right?
Well, I mean, that was interesting because it seems that he turned into many, and that's fascinating. I was like, like a million of them. But it was a really cool technique because it meant that they could do a lot visually in showing all of this whirlwind of bats flying at people, and that was cool. And it was how in comic books, how when you want to show a character going from there to there really fast, and you just show lots of lines or you show sort of a blur, they were able to do that really well in this film just by showing a whole bunch of bats moving at once. It was very effective. I liked it.
It's a little counterintuitive because for us in the past, Dracula's always been very literal, right? I mean, he would sort of like leap out the window, become a bat, and fly, whatever. But in this one, he became part of the swarm. He became part of the species itself. Now, there was a very interesting turnabout that takes place. In the original novel, Dracula is the other. He's the weird, mysterious, dangerous force from the East, threatening the internal society of England. But in this one, because it's a prequel, a very interesting sort of turnabout happens. I mean, in Transylvania, you have this sort of embedded bourgeois culture that we see at the opening, with the Romanian Eastern Christians all practicing their faith and trying to live a happy, peaceful life. And then the other, in this case, is the Sultan, the Turk, representing another foreign religion, which is a very interesting turnabout. It's like the relativization of the other, right? The other is different in every age. And so this one, the other was the Sultan, and the people you identify with was Vlad and the people he's trying to protect.
All of his people, the people he was fighting to protect, he loses them. He loses his connection to the people that he identified with most. So he does become the other in a sense, because there's no one left for him to identify with.
Right.
You know, the reason he did this, the reason he sacrificed his mortality and everything he held dear, was to protect these people. And suddenly he loses that capacity, which really sets him up in this very interesting position.
So I think you've just identified the thing that I found most compelling about the movie, was the impossible moral choices he faced.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult for us as viewers, right? It's like you just kind of assume at the outset that it's a bad idea to become Dracula.
Yeah, correct.
But as you follow the moral dilemmas he's facing, initially, of course, it's like the Sultan. He's a man of peace, and the Sultan arrives and says, "Look, I want 1,000 of your boys, and also your son." And he's like, "Okay, what's the highest value? You know, peace or not?" And so then he's ready to give up his son, because he figures, well, I was given up too as a child. But then he changes his mind at the last second and slaughters the 5 people. And you're kind of vaguely happy about this decision, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah. No, I was like, yeah, Jack, kill them all.
Right, but then 10,000 soldiers come, and he has to kill them. But look, he has to acquire the power to defeat them. So he goes to the monster in the cave and says, "Give me power." And you're even kind of okay with the fact that he drinks the blood. Because the condition is, if you can go 3 days and not drink any more blood, then you'll go back to normal. So you're kind of like, yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, these people are terrible. We have to defeat them.
Yeah.
So you're kind of good with them drinking the blood. But then the 3 days run out, and suddenly another 100,000 soldiers come. He faces the same problem again. The time's running out. He still needs power. Now he makes this fateful decision of sacrifice, as you say, sacrificing his mortality and becoming a monster himself. Now, to me, this is very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, this is like choosing lesser of two evils. It's what we face every single election day.
Well said, Jeffrey.
But, you know, there's something even more profound. It strikes me that this is a picture of a pre-capitalistic age, before people understood the gains from trade, essentially. You know, you had to kill or be killed. You had to take or be taken from, you know? And that was great. And I suppose that this is the sci-fi, or not sci-fi, but it's the fantasy medieval drama, right? But it's beautiful because it embeds us in this pre-capitalistic world where we don't understand about association, we don't understand about exchange. And look at the moral hell in which we find ourselves as a result. There's no other options in this world, right? Everything, there's only a certain amount of fixed resources. Nobody apparently knows how to create wealth yet, really. So we have to loot or be looted from. And this is grim, and it made me appreciate modernity for the fact that we've figured out ways to get along with each other and to find value in each other through commerce. And Naomi, this is even true of the other, right? And we've learned how to more or less, we've figured out ways in which we can be a diverse community and still, have maintain our dignity without slaughtering each other. That's what overwhelmed me about the big themes of the movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's such a relevant issue for today. It really is. At the moment, you have mainstream media that is basically portraying other countries that we might not associate much with. They're portraying them in this very homogenous way. Like, everyone in these countries is exactly the same. They're all the other. They have nothing in common with us. And it's just not true. It's just not true at all. And you find that the more that, first of all, the technological revolution has opened up media, which means that over and over again, pardon me, we see that it's simply not true, and we have so much in common with people all the way over the other side of the world, and we didn't even realize it before.
It's a pre-capitalistic age, and I think we need a much more intense appreciation of what it means to find value in each other as human beings through the commercial world. And that's why I think the movie, I know the movie didn't set out to make an anarchist libertarian point, but I think it sort of really did. I mean, I was overwhelmed. Here's another thing, Naomi, and there's no way we can sort of plunge into it, but you know what it made me wonder? it made me wonder if our sense of what is right and wrong flows out of our commercial landscape to such an extent. Like Vlad had a sense of what was right and wrong, like at the outset,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it kept getting scrambled in his brain as he went along because he didn't have the option of choosing anything really truly right. I mean, everything became mixed up. But in a world of exchange and like civilization, as we know it now, we have a clearer sense of what's ethical and what ethical, and more importantly, we have the opportunity to choose.
Right. Something along those lines that I found very interesting, and I know, again, they didn't set up to make this sort of commentary, but this is definitely what I read into this film. The moment where, first of all, Vlad, he is the hero of this community. He is the hero. He is the best fighter. Everyone adores him. Everyone is grateful for what he's providing to them.
True.
And then suddenly they realize that he has some sort of supernatural power. He is just one extra step above everyone else, and suddenly he's vilified. Like, is that not an analogy to today's society, where you have these people providing so much value to everyone, so much wealth, so much protection, and suddenly they become vilified because they're just too far beyond people's reach. And it doesn't matter that they're still, they're still providing value. This Vlad, he was saving them. And the village really ostracized him.
They tried to burn him up, didn't they?
Exactly.
That is really insightful, Naomi. I have to congratulate you for that insight. That blew right by me. So, very impressive. I like it. I just got a text message that there's apparently a new Disney film coming out, and that makes me crazy because they're just, as you know, they're just getting better and better. Of course, it's just, I mean, goodness, Disney has such a beautiful heritage, but it's getting more and more wonderful, to watch these,
I can't wait.
So
Ooh,
you and I have to absolutely rush to the opening, and we'll dissect it. Okay.
We'll talk about how it's actually a commentary on capitalism.
That's right. Everything is commentary on capitalism. Thank you so much, Naomi. Wonderful to see you.
This has been wonderful, Jeffrey. Bye.
Bye-bye. But listen, I have a kind of issue that I want to bring up with you, and it concerns something you said to me the other day. Okay, so you went to Dracula, and I said, look, I want to go to Dracula, and I said, how was it? And you said, it was fine. And then I went to it, and what hit me was overwhelming.
Just be happy, happy. Just be happy, happy. La di da di da di da. La di da di da di da. Just be happy, happy. Just be happy, happy. La di da di da di da di da.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey, Naomi. This is one of the most fabulous movies I can remember seeing since Frozen. I mean, I loved it from like the first frame to the last. I was delighted during every minute of it. So I'm trying to understand how it is that you downplayed the magnificence of this film.
You know what? That is actually something I do quite often. It is a habit of mine. I get tremendously excited about things. I am really, really excited by movies. Movies are my life. So when I go and see a movie, I am rarely disappointed. I will always find something beautiful in that movie. And I guess it's a good thing. It means that I'm constantly entertained. But when I'm recommending films to people, it's very difficult for me to discern whether or not it's good film or whether I'm just overly excitable. So I always figure that it's better to give a little bit of a disclaimer and not oversell it too much, and that way you're absolutely delighted when you see it.
Well, that's essentially what happened. I mean, it began, and of course I love this story, right? I mean, the Bram Stoker's great novel, which is by itself has an amazing story. I mean, here you have this kind of puritan Victorian who writes this novel warning